Hey, my name is Zaya, and I talk about a lot of different things, but I'm going to be getting into a lot of more online topics, so I figured it was important to talk about my experience growing up because it informs a lot of my opinions and just how I approach the internet and modern technology in general. And as an adult, I've come to realize just how different my upbringing was compared to other people. In some ways it sucked, in some ways it was great. Like with pretty much everything, there was good and bad, but it was also unique. And I mean, at least that's what I hear when now comparing my story with those of pretty much everyone else. So, speedrunning this, I barely used the internet before I was 18. At 18, I got regular access to the internet, but barely knew how to use it. At 19, joined Facebook, first social media, first time interacting with people in that way. At 21, I got internet at home for the first time. At 22, I got my first cell phone, flip phone. And then at 24, I think, I got my first smartphone. Yeah, I've come to discover that I was very late and behind compared to a lot of people. And yeah, like obviously, I think it's affected me, some in bad ways, but I've actually come to see kind of in good ways, maybe more good ways than bad. So that's the Cliff Notes. That's the interesting headlines of why I is such a freak. But I'm going to go into a bit more detail on what was happening at each of these stages and what they actually meant to me. So I had no cell phone, no internet access all through high school. My entire high school experience was just devoid of that. I grew up entirely removed from online interaction. And by the time I was graduating, like some kids had cell phones. I remember some of them had cell phones, but I think they were usually the kids whose parents had money. Like there was no way I was getting a cell phone because my mom couldn't afford one. We had one single home phone line until I was like 22. And for most of my high school years, we had a landline corded phone. Like you were stuck talking around the device. And then I don't remember when, but at some point, probably about like halfway through high school, we switched to one of those cordless phones that you like stick in the charging base, kind of like a radio. And yeah, that was it. No internet at home, and we lived too far out of town for me to just take random trips to get online somewhere in there. So all in all, I think during my high school years, I went online maybe a handful of times, and that was usually at high school. One of my uncles gave us this old laptop, like really old laptop. But because we didn't have internet, like I wasn't going online on it. It was mostly for writing, like creative writing or practice typing and solitaire. And then at some point, one of my friends in high school, their mom gave us an old boxy computer, and again, no internet. It was just for writing. I think I wrote a couple of assignments on there and practiced my typing. Like all in all, I think I might have spent a few hours every year in front of a computer when I was in high school. It was either at home writing something or playing solitaire, or at school using the internet for, I don't know, probably a research thing where I couldn't find the right book or couldn't find an answer in anything else that I was using for study materials. I read books. I watched documentaries because we had satellite TV after I was 11. And yeah, that was it. All of my interactions with friends, all of my social interactions were either in person or on the phone. An actual phone, like a phone conversation where you actually have to talk to the people. Like my only options. Never played online games, never ended up talking with anyone online. I was never in any chat rooms or like texting friends. When I was a kid, I think like 9 or 10, my mom worked at a place where I could play some video games for free. And I think that was the first time I had really played video games. And it was Spyro, Ripto's Rage, one of my favorites just for nostalgia purposes now, because that was the only video game that I was able to spend a lot of time playing. And as a teenager, I did get an old PS2, and again, I think a friend gave it to me. And I got Spyro and Tomb Raider games, and so those are my favorites. Super nostalgic. And then later in my teens, when I was like 17, played like Castle Crashers and some other video games at friends' places. But even though I loved video games, at least the ones that I came across and was able to play, like we didn't have a lot of money growing up, and I decided like it was just not a thing that I was going to ask my mom to buy. And figured, you know what, when I'm older and it's my own money, that's when I will dedicate my time and attention into this thing that I really like. And that's what I did. Mission accomplished. It's yet again something that I just feel so backwards from so many people on, because I didn't get to do gaming when I was a kid and a teen. The vast majority of hours I've spent playing video games has been as an adult. I can probably appreciate it and enjoy it more as an adult, but I'm also missing like decades of experience and muscle memory that would also probably make me better at the games that I love. But hey, c'est la vie. So that was high school, and then college, several years of college. I still didn't have a cell phone. I still didn't have internet access. But all of a sudden, internet was very necessary for the types of assignments I was doing. And I've always gotten good grades, and I was still determined to get good grades. Nothing had changed in that department. So I actually had a reason to start using the internet and wanted to get better with it and just learn more. I had searched stuff before, but it was purely interest-based and like special occasions or just certain things where I was like, I want to know about this thing, so I would search for stuff and print stuff off. I had done that before 18, but like I had never done any searching for an academic topic or for finding answers or actual research or having any sort of specific database to find sources from. So I was still figuring out how to properly search for stuff at 18. I was learning how email worked at 18. Like I had sent some emails before, but they were all for school or work. And I don't even know if it was my own email account or if my mom had done it for me. So just figuring out all of the details for sending someone an email. When I started college at 18, I had sent more handwritten letters to friends than like private messages. I don't know a lot of other people who were in that same position. And especially not today. I felt so behind because I was. But in hindsight, I also avoided so many social problems until I was an actual adult. Like, I can't imagine dealing with all of the social media stuff and constant texting back and forth and private messages on different social media with friends in high school. Like, it is so beyond my comprehension and understanding to be that young and stupid and immature and just having unfettered access to the internet and sending messages back and forth. It's so beyond my realm of experience. I love my time alone. I have since I was a kid. I'm not someone who gets lonely very easily. And at any time that there were people around and I wanted to be alone, I was in a constant state of just, I hate people, go away, I don't want to talk to anyone. I had tons of time alone when I was a kid, teenager, and young adult. I didn't have to perpetually deal with people or their bullshit or their problems. I had time alone to read and to deeply think about things and learn things and not be constantly distracted and bombarded by messages from other people that I might not even want to talk to. Definitely in the pros column. So looking back, I was behind, but I also see the benefits of it now. And at 19, over a year into college, I finally joined Facebook, first social media, the only social media I used for years. It was the only thing that I really knew how to use in terms of just engaging with friends. I still didn't have a cell phone, so I wasn't texting anyone. And a lot of people didn't feel like calling me and having conversations on the phone. A lot of people by that time had cell phones and they didn't realize my number was a landline. So I had people texting me and then getting mad at me or getting their feelings hurt because I wasn't answering. It was an old phone. Still just so bizarre. But yeah, Facebook, private messages, being able to talk to people, like I really saw the good side of that because I hadn't had it before. I wasn't desensitized to it. It was still a novelty. Like playing little online Facebook games, chatting with people, being able to post, like all of that stuff was so new to me at 19 that I still remember my thoughts and feelings about it all. And I appreciate it. I still appreciate it to this day. So there's a bit of a double whammy hit here because I avoided most of the problems with the internet when I was a kid and a teenager and even when I was 18. And then at 19 with social media, it gave me an appreciation for it that I find a lot of people don't have. Maybe because it's always been a part of their life or they can't really remember a time without it. Like the significance of coming across and being able to use social media as an adult, I'm very consciously aware of the pros of it, of the benefits for social interaction, for relationship building, like having that communication pathway open. There is something that is so important about that. And just being online in general. Like when I started having regular access to the internet, I went into overdrive. So from the ages of like 18 to 25, I learned so much. I spent so much time learning and asking questions and figuring things out and satisfying my curiosity because I had never had all the world's information at my fingertips before. Like that was a novelty to me. As an adult, I was so conscious of how important that was. I remember that feeling because it was only like 17 years ago at this point. All my learning, all my life until I was like 18, 19 was through like books and documentaries and journals, entertainment media, or just talking to people. Typing in a topic or a couple key words and getting a whole bunch of sources for information that could answer my questions, that was life-changing to me. So I have such a conscious memory of that gratitude of wanting to know something and being able to go out and find an answer. And then in my early 20s, getting internet at home, getting a flip phone, getting a smartphone, like that just opened up the world to me. Like being able to be at home and having a question and being able to search for an answer anytime that I wanted. Again, life-changing. And I feel like I just have this appreciation for it that a lot of people seem to have forgotten. Or maybe they just never had it in the first place and I'm weird and I'm being way more overdramatic about this than I need to be. But I still feel and recognize that significance because I remember being an adult who couldn't do that. And I was behind, but I feel like I've caught up in pretty much every way. Like my knowledge and ability to navigate modern technology is better than some people who are younger than me. That is something I did not expect. I have memories of consciously discovering just how important the internet is and how significantly it can help or harm people. Because, like I said, in my early 20s, I went overboard. I was online too much. I had some like bad interactions because I wasn't sure about things online. And like finally getting onto the internet in my early 20s, like I had no idea of proper online etiquette or like using abbreviations for words. Like there was tons of stuff about social interaction online that I didn't know. So I'm even old school there. So I probably made tons of social faux pas or said stuff that came off wrong because I wasn't used to communicating that way, or took things wrong or said things wrong. And I definitely made mistakes in how I was communicating because I had never done it that way before. I appreciated being able to talk to all my friends and everyone that I knew at the drop of a hat, but I also probably did it badly. I love the internet, and I think a lot of the problems people are having today in modern times with modern technology are more about their own personal behavior than the internet itself. A lot of people seem to be relating to the internet in terms of the harms and dangers it poses, especially for kids and teens with social media and online gaming and chat rooms. But a lot of those problems are stemming from the human behavior with how they're using this tool. I was very behind and lacked exposure, which means I avoided a whole bunch of the problems with being online when I was younger. But I also have such a deep appreciation for it as an adult. And I think that with the way everything is going, with discussions of removing privacy and removing anonymity from the online space, I think that is a solution that does not address the actual problem. To me, it seems like people are just not using it intelligently. This proliferation of problems and discussions around safety on the internet has so many different perspectives, so many different issues, so many different solutions that people are looking at. And I feel like the vast majority of them are just missing the point, or what I consider the point, which is how you use the internet and take advantage of the benefits while avoiding some of the detriments. That is how you are going to relate to online interaction in general. And I just find it so bizarre that any parents are letting their kids have access without supervising them, without monitoring them. Because I'm somewhere in the middle of seeing the pros and the cons and trying to find a way to navigate between them. Because I do think my lack of exposure did me well. I think I benefited from it. And now as a middle-aged adult, I see that even clearer now. I skipped out on the social pressure and the bullying or harassment and all of the negative things that teenagers deal with. And I can't imagine having to deal with that in high school. I didn't realize how different my experience was from most of my peers until college, and we started comparing notes as adults. Even though a lot of people got things earlier than I did, I think I'm still part of the last generation to remember not having internet at home, not having a cell phone. And when comparing it to the situation for young people today, I would definitely choose my childhood over theirs, especially the high school years. Just being constantly bombarded by distractions, being under the constant threat that someone's going to record you and post it online for the world to see. That just sounds like hell. That is not something I would have wanted to deal with as a teen. I avoided all the negative impacts of being online as a kid or a teenager. And I think my example is a little extreme. I don't think that other people should go through exactly what I went through. But I also think that the opposite extreme is even worse. My eventual exposure to the internet was something I needed. It's something that changed my life for the better. I see the internet as a tool. I'm very utilitarian about it. And I see it as basically a necessity for reaching human potential and even a human right in many ways. But I also think when it comes to kids and teens and even some young adults, there are detriments to being online, and I really think parents should be keeping their kids and teens way more offline than they are. There are a lot of modern features of the internet that I think are detrimental to developing minds, and I think the responsibility ultimately rests on the parents. this should not be a thing that is leading to lack of privacy and lack of anonymity on the internet. This should be a wake-up call to parents to curb their child's behavior with online technology. So I am somewhere in the middle with this high appreciation for being online, for social media, for having these communication methods open for people to use them. But I also see the benefits of being kept offline until I was an actual adult. I think there is such a healthy balance that can be struck between enjoying the benefits of the internet while also avoiding the detriments. And a lot of that comes down to human behavior and how you're using the internet, but also the laws and regulations that go along with it. But when it comes to kids and teens, their parents are making their decisions for them. Their parents are deciding what they have access to. And I'm not a big fan of outsourcing the raising of children to the government when parents need to be making those types of decisions themselves and setting those boundaries. And a lot of that comes down to accountability for use, accountability to yourself and to your family. How are you letting your kids use it, your teens use it? How are you using it? And what boundaries do you have there? What behaviors are you cultivating around your family or just yourself with using this thing? Because I see the issues with the internet, but I don't really agree with how any of them are being addressed. Because there are big questions here about the use of the internet, about the privacy and anonymity and freedom and accessibility of it. And I think a lot of the solutions that clamp down on any of those things are not addressing the core issue, which is the people. Like, you are setting your own boundaries for it. You are enforcing those boundaries with your children. So what boundaries do you have? How are you setting limits to make sure that your kids are enjoying the internet without being ruined by it? And that ultimately comes down to the choices that you make, how you engage with it. But lots of topics for another day. This video is just mostly me explaining where I'm coming from, explaining the background that is the foundation for a lot of my opinions about the internet, social media, behaviors online. So let me know how similar or different your upbringing was to mine. I am very curious about how many people would relate to this or how strange of a case I really am. And as you're going through trying to figure out ways to deal with all of the issues with the internet and being online right now, keep in mind how lucky we are to actually have this thing. Because I remember when I didn't. But what do I know? I'm just a heathen that was barely online till I was 18. That's about it. See ya.